Explore your thoughts. Learn what you think you already know. We're taking you on a journey to the other side. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of The Other Side. I have a special guest today from District 7. Well, first of all, before we get to him, I just want to thank all of my viewers for watching this long journey of interviewing the police jury candidates. And if you hadn't seen a video released in the last couple of weeks, well, we had a couple of hiccups. We were down with COVID, and that kind of put us down. So my guest and I, we had to kind of reschedule a couple of times. And not only that, I had to reschedule a sheriff's candidate. If you're watching this podcast now, you're probably watching it the first day of early voting. So we're trying to release everything as quick as possible. But we do have many more interviews coming that we've already recorded that we're just holding till we get everyone in that district interviewed. And then we release the videos to be fair to everyone. So thank you, everyone, for watching and following along with us on this journey on the other side. So with me today, my special guest is Mr. Alan Thomas in District 7, Police Jury District 7. Mr. Allen, I want to thank you for joining the program. And I have to say, this is if you're watching this, we are doing this in the wee hours of the night. After COVID, we really backed up, and he's very busy. He works out of town, so we were finally able to come up with the time. So he thinks it's important, as well as we think it's important for all of you to hear all of everyone's side for everything. So, Mr. Thomas, thank you for joining the program.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to do this.
Yeah, I think it's very important that you come out and that everyone hears everyone. We had you scheduled earlier, and then and like I said, we canceled it, and then we interviewed Bobby already, so we're gonna release everything, which is the incumbent. So he's running against Bobby Bordelon, District 7. So real quick, Mr. Thomas, a little introduction. Who is Alan? What do you do? Have you ever been in politics before?
My name's Alan Thomas. I live in Bartlonville. I've been there almost 25 years. I'm a school teacher. I'm an ag teacher. I've been worked in the oil industry. I've worked in for the federal government and the state government in different capacities, and I've been in the school system this time around for 26 years. I'm currently teaching out of the parish. I've taught here in the parish for several years, both at Avoyles High for a few years and at Bunkie High. And I did spend a year at Marksville High several years ago. I am, like I said, an ag teacher. I'm certified in social studies, also in business, and in the other one, accounting. But I have a master's degree in business administration, an undergraduate degree in ag business. And I've been doing this, like I said, for the past 26 years. I was one of those people that got into education later in life after I'd worked in other jobs, and I'd also pretty well raised my own family. I have 5 children. I have 4 boys and a girl. And I have 16 grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
There's 9 girls and 7 boys. So we have fun. There's a lot of long Christmases.
That'll keep you on your toes for sure. So did you go to college right out of high school?
Yes, I did.
And then you went to the oil field and other industries before you started teaching?
Right. I'd actually worked while I was in college a little bit in the oil industry and a couple of other jobs, but I went to USL at the time, and then later I got working for Halliburton. I got my master's degree in business administration, and I moved on to a couple of other oil field companies, and then I went to work for the federal government for a few years with the what was then ASCS is now Foreign Service Agency. I know everyone knows it as FSA now. And then I got into working for the parish, Evangeline Parish, and for a couple of years. And then I got back into teaching and coaching I enjoy coaching. I enjoy teaching. It's interesting living and an interesting job. I did quit coaching a couple of years ago so I can go watch my grandkids play because I have some grandsons that are playing football and baseball and a couple of granddaughters playing softball at different schools. So
So what did you coach?
I coached football for several years. I was a head coach and an assistant coach
At what school?
at both Marksville, Bunkie, Anna Voiles, and I was an assistant football coach at Lafayette High. I was a head coach at Point Coupee Central, and I worked for a time at Livonia High School and for a couple of years at North Central High School before going back to Bunkie, coming back to the parish and going back to Bunkie.
So, Mr. Allen, so why are you running? What have you ever ran for office before?
Yes, I have. I ran for school board and lost a very close, what I thought was a very close election in a runoff.
So when was that?
That was over a year ago.
Okay, so
In
that's
last
pretty
year's-
recently.
Yes.
So how about prior to that? Have you ever ran for anything before?
No.
So what sparked you to run for political office here in the last few years?
I thought getting involved with the community more and trying to be involved, work in the political arena and be involved and try to help more people than I'm doing as a classroom teacher and try to do a job for and a service for the people of the parish.
All right, so you're running again. You're running in District 7. The incumbent is Bobby Bordelon. Are you? Is there anything personal, or you just want to assert yourself into a position to make a difference in the parish, or is there? So what are your thoughts on the current incumbent, Bobby?
I I met Bobby a couple of times. I really don't know him very well. I have talked to him on a couple of occasions, both at the police jury office and at a couple of other locations. I have never met him before. Never did meet him when he was running for office the first time. 4 years ago. I saw him, but I never did meet him. I never visited with him. I have really, I can't tell you I have something personal with Bobby. I have nothing that's not personal.
So it's more
This
of a
is
just
a-
you want to make a difference in the parish,
Right. This is,
And this
I-
just so
I
happens to
s-
be your district.
this happens to be my district and the district I live in. And I've talked to quite a few people who think that the parish could do a lot better than what we are doing, especially with the District 2 road tax that, of course, District 7 is right in the middle of. And some of it doesn't seem to be getting done as fast as people expected. And there's some things that maybe can't be done as fast as you would like
Right.
to.
So right quick, let me just follow up for just so that the viewers understand. You said the District 2 road tax. So he's not talking about District 2 police jury. A few years back, they divided the parish into, I think it was 4 sections.
Right.
And District 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's not police jury district. And it was an effort to pass a tax for the road. They knew the whole parish wouldn't vote on it, so they tried it in sections. And the only section of the parish that did it was District 2, which is more your area, the Barlonville area, and like Simsport and kind of that quadrant
Right.
of the parish.
It
So they
was-
have a tax in addition to like the 3/4 cents tax, whatever that goes. Well, they have an additional tax that you pay in that area to I guess supercharge the effort. Supposed to supercharge the efforts in that area. So that's what you're
There's,
talking about.
it's police jury 4, 7, and 9 were road
They all
district.
merge in that
In the
one
road
area.
district
Yeah.
too. There are 9 people on the road district board, the 3 police jurymen on the board. There's 6 other people that are appointed to the board who make decisions where that money is spent,
Right.
how it's going to be spent, that kind of thing.
So what do you think you can do
There's
better for the parish or for your district in particular?
staying in touch with people, staying in touch with all of the people across the district, getting to know all of the people across the district, sitting down with the individual people to get them to explain what they think can be done better. And I've already talked to a lot of people across the district that have never met their police juryman. And I've talked to a lot of people who have said that they want somebody that they can at least talk to, that will talk to them and sit down with them and figure out how to solve some of the problems. We have a serious drainage problem throughout District 7 and other parts of the parish. That seems to be the number one theme that I've heard all over the parish. What exactly can be done, I'm not sure. I do know that the levee board has done some more drainage work just recently in the parish. I know that there are some private people have done some of their own
Yeah.
drainage, trying to clean some of the ditches out, some of the drainage. Right now with this drought, drainage is not a big
Right.
problem,
Yeah. Then whenever we get
but
some rains,
it's
then we start seeing it.
it's going to become a problem down the road.
Yeah. So if you could give a grade on the current parish conditions, from, of course, minus the drought or whatever, but just in general, the police jury, you're running for office, you want to make a difference. If you could give a grade on, let's say, the efforts of the police jury, the production, what grade would you rate it? A through F, being a teacher that you are.
That's in some areas they would have an A or a B. In other areas they'd be down at C and D level. There are probably, if I talked to some more people, you would find some areas that would think it was an F. Because some drainage, some other ditches, road, grass cutting, some of the other things have not been done in several years.
Yeah.
One person just pointed out today that one of the main roads through District 7, the MP Cutoff Road, the grass is up to the windows on the pickup trucks. And, it needs to be cut. It should have been cut.
Yeah, I passed there actually yesterday.
And
I passed through there.
it's there are other areas like that. Some of the drainage hadn't been cleaned in almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And the trees are actually growing into where the drainage is.
Right.
So there's some things that should be done and probably could be done. But we need to sit down and visit with people and see where we can go with it. And then find out other areas and other venues that can help with this, like the levee board, which they just cleaned up one large drainage all the way out to the Red River at Bayou Janson. And so, maybe there are others that they should be able to help with.
Right. So do you have any, it's like one of my guests had said, he said, he said it pretty poetically, that nobody gives you a manual whenever you're running for office, so that's why, the incumbents, you can press a little bit harder doing an interview and stuff because they have, there's things you just don't know unless you're in the office. But do you have any kind of thought, any ideas of like what you can do? When I get in, I want, this, and this maybe, and whether you get it or not, is there like an idea of kind of to overall make it better?
I was in one of the meetings, I want to say it was in July, because I've gone to several meetings, and I listened to the auditor. Several people were there, and the auditor, although the overall report was okay, he pointed out several different places where the jury needed to improve. And I have not heard since then that any improvements have been, or any changes have been made by the jury to get those things fixed. And he pretty well said that if they did not get them done, that that would be the last good audit they would get.
Right.
And, those kind of things need to be fixed. There are other areas, I don't know if it's training or whatever that needs to be done. Looking at the employment and employees, who's doing the work, who's not doing the work. A lot of the work that supposedly is getting done is very, very slow or isn't getting done at all.
Right.
And the road grading and other things, people complain quite a
Yeah,
bit.
and I hear complaints about even people don't realize the police jury. It's more than just roads and districts. There's like the permit office, and
Right.
there's a lot of other financial things that basically all the finance of the parish goes through the police jury. It's not just roads and ditches, but I've heard people complain about the permit office and these outsourcing these inspectors. We don't even have an inspectors here. I've talked about it on the podcast before, but they outsource it from Rapides Parish. Rapides Parish Planning Commission is where the inspectors come from. We don't even have our own, and a lot of the contractors are complaining about trying to schedule around the weather and things, and that could be something just maybe a bug in the ear to all my interviewers and stuff. That maybe it could be looked at. Yeah,
You got a bug in the floor.
right. Yeah, we
Cricket just ran across.
that happens every now and then.
Crickets are everywhere.
Yeah.
I've heard complaints from a couple of contractors that they spend as much time getting permits as they do actually
Yeah.
building buildings. And that complaint you don't hear from other parishes.
Yeah, I agree there.
I've checked with a couple of other parishes that I'm very familiar with, and they have their own inspector. They have their own, but they have one person that does all
Yeah.
the permits.
Right.
They don't have to go to 3 or 4 or 5 different people to get permits to do things.
Yeah.
And in one case in particular, they get one permit. When they want to build a house, they get a permit to build a house, and they go build a house. And that permit covers everything that they
Yeah.
need. So, yeah, the permit office, it has been an issue, I think, with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Whether you're building a shed in your backyard or adding to your house
Right.
or building a business, it's been an issue.
So, what are your thoughts? We're going to shift gears a little bit. What are your thoughts on term limits?
Term limits are an interesting visit. Term limits began with George Washington. He self-limited himself to 2 terms when they
Try to
wanted
set
to
a
make him,
precedence.
to set a precedent, when they wanted to make him a king. And he said no. He said he served his time. It was time for somebody else. All of practically everybody in our state is term limited. Our governor is term limited. The president of the United States is term limited. Our state representatives and senators are term limited. The judges are term limited
And age limited.
and age limited. I'm not necessarily agreeing with the age limit,
Yeah, but there are limits.
but they
on
are
that.
limits. The DA is term limited over time. And our school board here in the parish is term limited. Why the jury is not term limited, I have no idea. I've heard different people say different things. You are limited because every 4 years you can be put out of office.
That's the argument against term limits, because you're up for a term limit every cycle.
Right. And the other argument for term limited, there's for and against.
Yeah.
The other argument for it is that some people don't accomplish very much unless their back is against the wall and they only have a short time to get something done.
Yeah.
We have some people in Congress right now that probably we should have term limited a long time ago.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
people that are just there.
They have surpassed their prime.
They're well past their prime. They're not doing anything. They don't get much accomplished in Congress.
But the name recognition
And,
and the popularity from
Right.
the sheer name recognition, there's 24-hour news cycles. There's, this TikTok and Snapchat and whatever. People don't have time to sit down and follow current events. That's what this whole podcast is about. Hopefully, this will reach people just to kind of get them engaged and to let the voters decide. I interview you, I interview your opponent, and uh, let them decide. But without the term limits, and I'm not saying I'm for or against, because sometimes I flip flop because you are term limited every time. I think all in all, I'd probably be for term limits because the sheer this whole thing. What I'm saying that the information people spend their time doing other things, so when they go to vote, when they shouldn't vote, when you don't know what you're voting for, you'll just say, "Oh yeah, I recognize that name. I'm just gonna vote for that." So it's just the name recognition from being in there so long. It's term limits. That's the argument for term limits. That would eliminate that. Just the whole name recognition. You
Right.
know, even though technically you are term limited every term because they could vote you out, but it's I can see both sides of the argument, but I think all in all,
Well,
term limits are. I could go either way on it personally myself, but
there is a study of just what you're saying about name recognition. There was a study that I saw part of. I didn't read all of it, but one part of the study had interviewed people that went in to vote, and 37% of the people voting voted on name recognition because when they walked in the booth was when they decided who
yeah,
they were going
and
to
that's
vote
what makes
for.
me for term limits.
Yeah, and when
Yeah,
30, that's almost 4 out of every 10
yeah,
people that make up their mind
that's
in the
right.
booth.
Yeah. Yeah, all in all, I think term limits. I mean, it wouldn't hurt because next man up.
Right.
That way it eliminates recognition and
Person.
next man up. You don't like him, kick him out, get you a new one. Next cycle. So we'll shift gears again. This whole home rule charter thing that's been going on. We've talked about it at nausea on this podcast. On from the how how it started. The police jury could have okayed it and elected, appointed the commissioners, but it didn't happen. They voted against it. Then they had to have this petition, and in the petition, it didn't meet the credentials of what it was supposed to, wards and precincts and some other things. So now there's a legal battle there where it won in the district court. The police jury appealed it. It went to the Third Circuit, and the police jury won, and then it went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court kicked it back to nobody really knows where it's at. So, what's your thought on this whole home rule charter thing?
At just what you're saying, at this point, for us to have that discussion is pretty much a mute point because we don't know where it stands. If it would, I'm running for police jury. I'm not running for a seat on a home rule charter. I'm not. That's not what I'm running for. I got into this before I knew about the home rule charter. I was already deciding on running before that came about, and then I found out about it. I'm like a lot of people. I went to some of the meetings they had on it. I was very interested in it. I think that a lot of parishes have a home rule charter. A lot of people said a lot of things that who knows. Nothing has ever been decided because we don't have the first word on a charter because it's never been voted on. And you have to vote in people to write the charter before you'll know any information about it. Right now, I'm running for police jury. What happens if the home rule charter is ruled legal? Then the police jury at that time will have to put it on the ballot. If it's ruled illegal, it's a mute point. It's a
Yeah,
dead issue unless the home rule charter people, the petitioners, go ahead and redo the petition,
right.
which is their prerogative to do so. But right now, I think it's just basically a mute point until the courts decide
Would
what's going to
you would
happen.
you have been open minded to the exploration of a debate about the home rule charter, or would it
I would
be
like to have seen a good debate, a good open debate. I did see one, but we never got to the point where there's an actual charter to debate either.
yeah?
So, or even people running to be on that charter commission. We have not gotten to that point at all.
Hey, Mr. Allen, you live in Barlownville, you work in Lafayette, you busy man, a lot of traveling, a lot
Quite a
of
bit.
everything. So where are you at with an open door policy? Whenever I contact you, we've talked on the phone multiple times, trying to schedule this interview. We had to cancel a couple of times. I had COVID. You had to cancel for something a couple of Sundays ago. When you're in a political office, it's not. It is a part-time job, but it's full-time because people are gonna call my ditch don't drain, my road is falling apart. There's gonna be a mass amount of phone calls. So where are you at with that? You gonna have your phone number public, open door policy, District 7. I'm your guy. Give me a call.
I have an open door policy. I've told everybody that I've talked to. I've given quite a few people my personal phone. I have a home phone that is listed. I it's Barlownville number, and that's easy to find. My cell phone's easy enough to find because a lot of people have found that number and call me. I am planning on taking my retirement at the end of this school year, where I will be more of a full-time person, available full-time. I may do something else here in the parish, but this will be my last year, unless something happens drastically. This will be my last year in Lafayette. I've already decided that, and I've already told Lafayette Parish that. I have an appointment to go to the retirement office in Baton Rouge in a couple of months. It takes a couple of months to get an appointment over there.
Yeah.
So many people retiring, and after that, I'll have a more permanent date as to when I can actually finish out my time in my retirement. But I'm planning on being here more full time. We don't go into office if I was elected until January, so I would have January till May of school left, and that doesn't take very long and much time. But I will be available in the evenings. I'm back and forth every day. Right now, I'm going house to house and I'm visiting with people across the parish.
That's a full-time
And
job,
that
just campaigning.
that campaigning is a full time job. I go to work at school starts at 7. We're out at 2:45, and at 4:30, I'm usually 4:30, quarter to 5. I'm back in the parish,
Wow.
and so then this is. I've been doing this for 10 years. It's not something that I've been for just this election.
Right. All right, we're gonna if you can explain your district, the boundaries. So my lovely producer, Emily Doza with M's Production, she's gonna pull up your district map, and then while you're explaining, she'll kind of follow along with you. So everything in the red there that you're looking at, that's District 7. It's kind of really funny shape. They're all, I guess, kind of funny shaped, but it's like the majority of it is here, but then it goes down south. I'll let you take over, Mr. Thomas, if you can just kind of start somewhere and she'll follow along.
The district, if you want to start it at the top end, the north, say the northeast side would be on the log road, coming down Highway 451 all through Barlownville on both sides of the Bayou de Glaze, and then along the levee out to Hamburg. It goes that way. It goes down across the Highway 1 on the levee down to Levi Grimiel Road, and then out to Highway 107. And that's all the east side of the district, and then it goes from Highway 1 out to along Highway 1 into Mansoura, a small portion of Mansoura. It has all of Cocoville and Old River, that area, and over to Slim Lemoyne Lane. It goes across Highway 1 to Airport Road and up Dewey Bernard Road and that area. And then it goes around Marksville to the Spring Bayou area. And of course, Spring Bayou is indirectly connected to Bartolomoville, if you want to say that, straight across on the north end.
As the crow flies.
As the crow flies, yes. On the south end, where 107 from Levi Gremio, it goes on the south side of Highway 107 to Highway 1180 down to 1179, and then back around to Duplichin Road along 1179 to Duplichin to Brassett Road and back up to Highway 107, just say east of Cottonport, and then back up 107 into Plocherville. It encompasses all of Plocherville and all of the backstep area, Highway 1181, 1182, Chupique.
I'm sorry, I was just looking at it. Earlier off the record, we were talking about the district. You said it looked like a woman's shoe. We'll have it pulled up, and I'll see it now. But
you see the bottom end of it. It looks like
it does look like a woman's shoe. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It goes up MP Cutoff Road up to Mooresville, but goes around the city limits of Mooresville, back out to Highway 1 and up Highway 451 and up Couvillon Road, part of Couvillon Road across Highway 1. Then that connects to Bayou de Glaze Road. That's all the same. And that pretty well outlines it.
Yeah. Whenever she scrolled to the bottom, she chuckled, and I chuckled. I knew she was talking because it really looks like a woman's shoe.
That's several people have looked at the map.
Yeah,
and I showed it to them.
I never caught that.
And that was a comment that I got from several different people.
I never noticed that. I looked at this map so many times with interviews and everything, but I never caught it. All right, I got one more tough question for you. What's your ballot number?
67.
67 for District 7. Mr. Thomas, I thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it, and people don't realize, the wee hours of the night that we're doing this on a Friday, and but anyway, we made it work out just for the integrity of the program and the integrity of District 7. And what are your closing statements? Why should the voters in District 7 vote for Alan Thomas?
If everything works out and I do get elected, I'm planning on bringing a sober, civil voice to the jury. I think I can present myself well, and I think I can represent the people of the district quite well, and I plan on representing all of the people from one end of the district to the other. And I want to work with all of the people from one end of the district to the other. In the long-term plan is to do this more or less full-time and be available full-time. And I believe that I can do that.
So if you do become elected, will you stay friends with the podcast and come back on for updates?
I would be glad to.
There we go. You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Number 67 on the ballot, District 7 Police Jury, Mr. Alan Thomas. Again, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for many more episodes coming following this. We're COVID-free, and we're in the studio knocking them out. I want to thank everybody for watching. This is another edition of The Other Side. I want to be like